morning, Sir James.
The court to decide what the limits or the extent of the prerogative power are.
My lord, I do. I do.
And do you further accept that the prerogative powers are constrained by overarching fundamental rights?
My lord, in some circumstances they are.
So there are constraints to the power, and it is the purpose and role of the court to consider what those constraints are and whether they've been exceeded.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't seek to deny that. I think my learned friend sought to rely below on, not so much here, but on the rule of law as supporting his case. We respectfully submit precisely for the reasons that my lord has just given. The rule of law does not advance his case at all, because we have always accepted that it is for the court to decide all sorts of issues relating to the prerogative, including whether it continues to exist in the face of legislative intervention and what the limits of a non-justiciability principle should be.
Would you accept that the exercise of the power to prorogue Parliament has the potential to affect or undermine Parliament's ability to carry out its constitutional function of holding the executive to account?
My lord, by definition, I'm not sure I'd accept it in exactly those terms because I'd be accused of accepting a contentious proposition. But by definition, prorogation, and it's a point that I will come back to, has the effects that it has. So the bills that were previously before Parliament fall, they can be reintroduced, so that parliamentary questions cannot be asked, so that the parliamentary committees do not sit. So, of course, to that extent, it has the effects that it has. But my submission will be that despite those features, this is a well-established constitutional function, exercisable and to be exercised by the executive, and the question remains whether there are, to go back to the rationale identified in Shergill, whether there are judicial or manageable standards against which the sort of political judgments that are inevitably interwoven into decisions to prorogate, whether there are such standards, I'm going to come to analyse that, and also whether it is, as a matter of constitutional propriety, appropriate for those controls to be exercised by the courts as opposed ultimately to the body to which the executive is ultimately accountable,